Charlotte, North Carolina, hottest real estate market in 2023, according to Forbes. And by the way, nobody's going to know who the hottest market is till we get to the end of the year. But as a local realtor, I can totally give you some reasons why we might be on the list. First of all, let's look at the competition in the top 5. It's rounded out by Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Dallas, and Nashville. So why Charlotte? First of all, you've been here, probably by accident, because you were flying on American Airlines and had to come through our hub. That's one of the big reasons that Charlotte has an attractive market. One of the world's busiest airports. American Airlines being here has done great things for the economy. It also means jobs want to be here because they can get managers and employees in and out. They can relocate you here easily. And then if you came in from, say, Buffalo, you could get right back to your family whenever you'd like. And we have a lot of global routes. So many companies now are multinational, and you can have a headquarters in Charlotte if you can get folks overseas fairly easily. That's just one of the reasons. The second one has to do with number one, and that's jobs. In fact, the realtors met with some folks from economic development this past week, and it was stated that there are currently 234 different companies in the potential pipeline to come to North Carolina. Doesn't mean we'll get them all, but it does mean that any smart company is looking at this state where we have a great talent pool, we have great geography and a great airport, and we have people that are amazing that they can hire when they get here. Those jobs include financial services, which Charlotte is already known for. Technology is all over the place, and the biggest hotspot right now is in the EV space, or electric vehicles, and we're seeing a huge boost here, not necessarily in Charlotte, but just north of Charlotte on the I-85 corridor. That is another one of the advantages of being here, is we have good access on 85 to Raleigh at the north, Atlanta to the south, and you could even say Washington, D.C. is not too far away, and frankly, 2 hours to the mountains and 3 hours to the coast, and everybody's happy. But all of that means that any company's needs can be met here. So let's look at the next factor that comes in behind jobs, and that's your people. We have a talent pool here built on one of the best university systems in the nation, and I should point out that the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, founded in 1789, was the country's first state public university. And yes, I graduated from Carolina, and yes, they are still turning out really fantastic people, along with our engineering school at North Carolina State. We don't really claim Duke, but they're here in North Carolina. We have Wake Forest, you've got Queen's University, Johnson C. Smith, you've got Johnson and Wales, you've got schools all over the place, keeping great talent here in North Carolina to fill the employers coming. So let's add on another factor. That all helps, right? Brings people, we've got jobs, they got to spend their money. The first thing somebody new to town wants to buy is a house. Get their place settled so they can learn how to grow better boys, which are the best breed of tomatoes. When you're thinking about moving here, if you're coming from a high cost area like New York or California, it feels like a no-brainer because our tax environment is just so favorable on that front. However, that increased demand has driven prices up, so it's definitely more expensive than it used to be because we don't have enough rooftops. Another advantage of Charlotte, we have available land. And when we say available land, that means the builders can keep on building. In fact, there's new construction all over the place in the Charlotte area. And there's a fairly good spectrum on the price point of who is covered by that new construction. That also means that when you're thinking about Charlotte, you've got to remember it's the whole MSA, the Metropolitan Statistical Area. So when it says Charlotte is the hottest market, that's also including our outer ring of counties, which would be Iredell County, Cabarrus County, including Rowan, a little bit there where Kannapolis jumps over. You've got Union County. You've got just over the South Carolina line with Lancaster County and York County, then scooch back over to Gaston County, Lincoln County, and you've got a wonderful set of opportunities. Why would somebody live in the ring instead of just inside Charlotte? It could be their choice for property tax rates, school zones. It could be closer to the parks and rec that they want, or maybe their mom and daddy live in that area, or their church home. You never know why people land where they land. Our job is to make sure people know that they have tons of options here in the area. That does add up to say this absolutely could be one of the hottest markets in 2023. Another thing I'll point out is that if you look back in time at the Great Recession, not any real estate person's favorite thing to look at by any stretch, but it gives us a good insight as to how markets operate. Charlotte in the Great Recession just kind of fell down a little bit. We did not fall off a cliff because we had never gone up over a cliff. We are what is considered a blue chip market. We go up and then we come down, and we go up and then we come down, but we don't do the mountains and the valleys. And that's an advantage if you are somebody that doesn't have a high risk tolerance, or if in buying real estate you are looking for some stability, a hedge against inflation with that house payment, or frankly just somewhere to call home. We are fortunate that we've gone up over time, but I'll tell you the truth, I'm also glad that we are a reasonably priced market, so that when things do invariably settle down in a cycle, we're just not as exposed as some areas to those crazy swings. So let's also look at what else drives that real estate market and why we might be a hot market. If you look at the overall quality of living here, we have Opera Carolina. Not everybody knows that Charlotte has opera. We have the North Carolina Dance Theater. We have ballet, and it's more than the Nutcracker. For those of y'all that didn't know, there's ballet the rest of the year too. We also have in the Blumenthal Theater, which is right in the center of downtown. We also call that Uptown in Center City. We're very confused here, but you're going to see off-Broadway here, and we love having events right there. You will see the Charlotte Symphony. You can see the Charlotte Youth Symphony, and then you might see a bassoon player from my family. You will also find that there is a breadth of cultural opportunities with the Mint Museum, the Museum of the New South. You will find that there's Discovery Place, which is a science hands-on museum, and I'm pretty sure every kid in the area has gone there on a field trip, and every grown-up wants to go to the IMAX. Add to that the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Oh, well, then let's look out at the edges where you have the Charlotte Motor Speedway, where if you've never attended a NASCAR race, I highly recommend you go at least once, because that's a cultural experience all of its own. You may then want to venture out and do some shopping, or realize that in these outer areas was the first discovery of gold at Reed Gold Mine in Cabarrus County. I can talk about this area for days, and that's one of the attractions for folks that are moving to this area. They say, you know what? This is a really interesting place, which seems kind of like a secret. The other secret is that if you move here, you're thinking, I'm from another area. Will I even fit in? Well, Charlotte's a pretty cool melting pot. And because we've been a growing city for several years, there are people from all over the place here. In fact, the cul-de-sac I used to live on, I was the only native of North Carolina, so I felt like the outsider sometimes, but I was actually a resource. So realize that when you come here, we're going to say, hey, we're probably going to ask, how's your mom and them? And then we're going to invite you somewhere out to eat, tell you where the good places are to go, and you will love it here. And add all of that friendliness and the arts and the parks and rec and everything up, you will see that's why it's entirely possible we won't just be the hottest market in 2023, but it could be we'll be the hottest market forever. Just kidding, that's a bit extreme, but there's so many good factors here. You'll love living here, just like I do. And if you want to be told all those little hidden secrets, you can just hop in the car when we go buy a house, and I will tell you things that you have no interest in knowing, except that you'll start to see the whole picture of the area, and you'll realize there's a place for you. So thanks for the shout out, Forbes, and we appreciate you letting us outrank those other cities, but their folks are welcome to come here too.